We are recording. That is new that they announced that. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. On behalf of Dimensions in Travel, thank you for joining us today on our journey to the Greek islands with Silversea Cruises. Their big news is that the Silver Moon is going to be resuming cruising, finally, as of June 18th, and we are absolutely thrilled about this. All the passengers and crew must be vaccinated in order to safely sail. My name is Diana St. James, and I am one of the owners of Dimensions in Travel, along with Jill Romano. And we are so happy to say safe travel is back. And we see it every day in the inquiries and bookings that we're starting to get. These virtual events have kept travel alive for all of us over the earlier times, but now we're hoping they're generating some great travel ideas for you. So we are standing by here at Dimensions in Travel, ready to make your travel dreams happen. And we've got an idea for you today that is for this summer to go to Greece. But before we get started, just want to remind you, we are recording this event and you'll be receiving a link afterwards, and you can always check them out on our YouTube channel and on our website. You're all in listen only mode, which means no pictures or microphone. It gives us the greatest amount of bandwidth for our presentation and minimizes distractions. And please put your questions in the chat box. You'll see down at the bottom of the screen. If you think of anything during the show, we may answer it then by chat, or we'll bring it up at the end. And finally, do stay tuned after the question and answers. We are going to be doing a drawing at the end for 3 great prizes, including salts from around the world and the grand prize of a Greek gift box filled with Greek food. So you have to be present to win. So please hang in there with us until the very end. So Americans are now allowed to visit Greece and Cyprus if they are fully vaccinated and have a negative PCR test within 72 hours of arrival. And with this in mind, Silversea will be sailing round-trip Athens to various ports of call on 7- and 10-day Greek itineraries. Our guests from Silversea are going to go over these itineraries and how cruising will work on board their ships, as well as information on their great SALT SALT program. But before we start, I want to introduce my partner, business partner, and agency co-owner, Jill Romano. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Diana. Hello, everyone. And thank you so much for attending today. It's my pleasure. I'm so delighted to introduce you all to Megan Edelman. She is the Area Director of Sales for Silverseas, based here in San Francisco. Megan has travel in her blood. With her mom working for Pan Am for many years, Megan has been in the tour and cruise industry for the last 12 years. And believe it or not, she has visited over 75 countries. So we have a well-seasoned traveler here in our midst. We're also fortunate to have worked with Megan for many years. Her knowledge of Silverseas, combined with all of her personal travels, has truly made her a vital partner for our agency. Also here with us today is Joe Leon, the Vice President of Field Sales for Silversea Cruises. He leads Silversea's sales team, working with the area sales directors, inside sales, and business development teams to ensure that all our travel partner needs and requests are met. And thank you so much for that, Joe. He brings with him over 24 years of travel experience, working both on the travel agency side as well as the supplier side. A South Florida native, he is proud to be representing Silverseas. Megan and Joe, please take us away on our journey today to Greece with Silverseas. Thank you both.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you, Diana. And thank you to your customers for taking time from what I hope is a beautiful afternoon wherever in the country you might be. Come listen to us about our product. We think it's a beautiful product, and we really believe we have a unique product. And I'll start today's presentation. I know you came to hear about Greece. We're going to get really detailed and in-depth about that destination, but I'd like to tell you a little bit about what makes Silversea different and what makes us really the leaders in luxury cruising today. I'll start by playing just a quick video.
It's when all your senses become aware. You're present in focus. That's traveling to me. is an urgent need to go and observe this world that we all share. A ray of light, a pair of eyes that tell a story, an instant of perfection. Images printing on your soul. This is authentic beauty. It's all out there, and trust me, there's always room for discovery.
I hope you enjoyed that video. I always play that video to start all presentations because I'm often asked by consumers and our agent partners alike, what makes you different from all the great luxury brands that are out there? And they're right. There are some great brands out there, just like we believe our product is great. But there is one key difference that really does make us different from all other cruise lines, regardless of the market that they operate. And the answer is destinations. Now, that might sound a little silly because that's our business. We take people to places. We all do. But the facts are Silversea sails to 900 destinations in a single year. That's more than double any cruise line in any market of the industry, and over 500 more destinations than our closest luxury competitors. Now, it's more than what we just could do with our expedition products. It's easy to claim destination leadership when you're the only ones going to Antarctica or the Galapagos and in the Arctic regions, but it's also how we call on our classic ports. It's really important that we become more than just a means of transportation. And I think that we kind of all get lumped into the sea of sameness when we think about cruise products. And sure, there are some differences, but really think about the destination difference on Silversea as a key part of your overall experience, because this is what it's like to leave from London on one of our small ships. You really do have this extraordinary experience of sailing through the iconic Tower Bridge. It's lined with Brits. They're very happy to see us. They're all waving their British flags, although I'm told we shut traffic down for about 2 hours. I did it in June and August. They may not be so happy to see us, but your experience is the same and just as special, regardless of what time of the year you go. And here you are sailing up the Thames with the Tower of London to the left and this beautiful modern and historic skyline. It's such a beautiful experience. And it's not just London. It's how we call in St. Petersburg. We dock downtown at the English Embankment, just a few blocks from the Hermitage. And we've got hundreds and hundreds of examples like this around the world. So when you're speaking to your advisor, think that destination is the difference. Silversea takes you everywhere. 900 different destinations. We like to think if land meets ocean, chances are it's on our calendar at some point throughout the year. Now, how do we get to so many different places? We operate a pretty large fleet. We operate the largest luxury fleet right now. There's 9 ships in our fleet. We're soon to take delivery of a 10th and 12 by the end of 2022. So an extraordinary growth for our market and in our industry, and we're really proud of it. We took delivery of 2 brand new ships last year, which we will highlight in today's presentation, as they are the first to welcome customers back to service on our ships, our fleet. But one thing I want to point out here, another key difference about fleet, it's not just the fact that we operate 9 of them and more ships than most other luxury cruise lines or any other, but it's the diversity in the size of the fleet, right? It's not a one size fits all. We have 600 passengers on the Silver Spirit, and you can see it ranges all the way down to the 100 passengers on the Silver Origin, which is dedicated as a ship that's dedicated to the Galapagos Islands. And all through here, what you find is this great sense of space. We operate 40,000 tons on 596 passengers. Our closest luxury competitor sails with 700 passengers on that same tonnage. What that means is that it gives us access to the world's small harbors. We can make the turn up most of the rivers in Europe and then bring you closer into the destinations that you went to visit. So our fleet, our beautiful luxury platform, certainly a big differentiator, and the 27 years that we spent trying to perfect what we do for you on board. But the last pillar of a luxury brand, of our luxury brand, that you probably didn't expect for us to cover today is value. This really strong value proposition that comes with luxury cruising, because we're all inclusive. And here on Silversea, we include round trip economy air on all of our voyages, on all of our prices. Excursions are included. And today's highlight will be our return to service. We'll talk about the types of excursions that are included there. If there's a need for an operational cruise or hotel operation overnight, we will take care of that because you've taken our air. Luggage delivery, transfers, gratuities available throughout. We're the only cruise line that offers butler service in every category, and you have a room attendant and a butler. I think that's a really key difference. We don't blend the 2 responsibilities. We have 2 different people there to serve you and to meet both of those. And then, of course, our premium beverages throughout. Wi-Fi is included throughout the entire vessel. And we have up to 8 dining venues to choose from on our larger ships, and as few as 4, giving you the most variety in culinary choice when you're sailing at sea on a luxury brand. And then when you sail on expedition product, when you go to Antarctica, when you sail to the Galapagos or to Papua New Guinea with Silversea, you have all of your in-country flights. All of our charter flights are included. Of course, you're sailing and touring with qualified guides, the best in their fields. We've got some amazing scientists that sail with us and guide you through your journeys. And then, of course, doing lots of cruising on your Zodiacs. That's really how we get you up close to the destination and the gifts in the different areas. So always remember that about Silversea. Destination is our biggest difference. We take you everywhere. We get there on these beautiful luxury ships, and the value that comes along with it. This could probably be, for those of you that haven't sailed in a luxury market yet, I think that once we put the numbers together and we build comparisons for you, and your advisors build comparisons for you, you'll find that it's much closer in cost than what you might have thought. And so we encourage you to speak to your luxury advisor to build those comparisons. And this is it, right? This is the advantage of moving up into the luxury. You're sharing the space with fewer passengers, better service levels. I love what our marketing team did here. It really explains. You can see how many people have to get their first course before you can get your second. And on Silversea, the service is really seamless throughout. And of course, we start with the lowest is 376 square feet, where we have to buy up into those larger name suites on the other lines. So keep that in mind. That is the Silversea difference. It's destination, it's these beautiful luxury platform, and the strong value proposition that comes along with it. But you came here to hear about Greece and what is our plan to return to service. I'm so excited, and I hope you could tell in my voice, to finally announce a set sail date, one that we know we're going to stick to and we're actually going to be able to deliver. June 18th will mark the first time we've sailed since March of 2020. And we're excited. We're going back to the Greek Isles. We had hoped to visit Israel with our first deployment. Some recent activity out there has called for us to change the itinerary just as a precaution. We want to make sure that, of course, the safety of our passenger, crew, and ship first. But we're visiting these beautiful islands, and we're going to start with, we're going to feature 9 voyages in the area this summer. I'm going to start June 18th with this first 10-night voyage. It's a round trip Athens. You can see some of the beautiful ports of call that you get to visit along the way, even pushing all the way out to Limassol before returning round trip Athens. Now, this is going to include all of it. We are going to include excursions in all of these ports of call. You're going to have choices of anywhere from 4 to 8 excursions to choose from. Depends on how remote the islands are that we're going to. And so we want to make sure that we preserve this safe environment, this vaccinated environment that we all work so hard to create, including you, our customers. And so sticking with our I guess verified excursion suppliers is key. So Megan, you want to tell us a little bit about the excursions that we'll be able to see on this first voyage?
Sure, I would love to. Yes, just to piggyback off of what Joe was saying, I kind of wanted to highlight, we have so many options, and I think our itineraries are really beautiful and the destinations that we go to. And I think many of our travelers may have been to Greece. It's obviously a popular destination, but again, with what Joe has been sharing with you all, we storytell in a very different way, in an intimate way, in a boutique way, from culture to food, beverage. We want you to smell all the smells, have all the experiences, be totally immersed in the culture, and really see the destination that you're visiting. And Greece is a great example. That's where we're first returning to. You can expect that on every Silversea voyage. But of course, this is going to be your first opportunity to experience us if you haven't in the past when we set sail. So let's talk about Paros. I've actually been there. It was one of my favorite islands. It's absolutely pristine. It's in the Cyclades. It's often outshadowed by Mykonos, which we all know and is very popular. Paros is, after Mykonos, it was definitely, it kind of blew Mykonos out of the water. I absolutely loved how pristine, and there's way less tourists, but it still has just as much rich history. It was very iconic because it has kind of vacillated between many different occupation, from Byzantine Empire to the Ottoman, and that's kind of a Roman Empire. You're going to see that across all the islands, but it used to be the #1 marble producer in all of Greece. So a great example that I saw that I wanted to share was the Byzantine Road and local villages. On this for excursion, you're going to go on one of the oldest roads in Greece. It's from 1000 AD. It's 100% Parisian marble from all marble that was harvested and brought over to the quarries there and hand laid over many, many years. So it's quite old, and you get to meander on this really incredible path that's still intact and go visit all these interesting local villages. So there'll be time for shopping, time for having a bite to eat, having some, local baklava or whatever you might be interested in while you're exploring this beautiful destination. So that's a really great one, but we also have 3 others to choose from. So in Rhodes, another place that we visit, it's a popular island. A lot of people have been there. It's an interesting destination on our itinerary because it's an amalgamation of many different cultures. It's really cut between 2 continents. It's very close to Turkey, but also kind of part of the Greek islands as well. So also part of the Ottoman Empire. So with these islands that are kind of more east, you're going to get a lot more richer culture because it's going to be a mix of the Middle East as well as Roman and Mediterranean culture. So we have a really great, I am a craft nerd, and so this one really, really excited me. Rhodes is actually really well known for its kind of handcrafts. And so you go and do your own pottery class, you do a whole workshop, learn all about the indigenous pottery making, and get a whole lesson joined with lunch. So that is a really exciting experience that I think highlights that destination and is kind of unique. You don't get to craft very often, and that's really exciting. And next, yeah.
Yep, this brings us to the second itinerary that we're going to feature. This was supposed to have a few stops in Israel, but again, we had to shift gears and are now going into some of the other Greek islands. And this is going to start on June 28th, will be the first departure here. So we've set them up. You can do them back to back and get to do both itineraries. And we've had customers that have actually combined all 9 voyages and are doing 90 days. He was pent up. He wanted to get out. And so that opportunity is there. Of course, we've got excursions on this one as well. Remember that the airfare is included in the rates that you see advertised. The excursions are included, all of the onboard inclusions with the beverages, and then of course all of our dining venues, which on board this ship, you'll have 8 different ones to choose from. And I'll show you those in just a minute, but I'll ask Megan to take us through some of the other sites that you'll see on this other itinerary, our second itinerary.
Yeah, so I will say there are a few that are shared on both itineraries. So make sure you look at the itinerary layout if there's something that's very special to you. Both of them might be hitting it. But let's talk about Cypress. It's a very interesting destination. I was talking with Diana and the ladies at Dimensions in Travel, and they had not, a lot of people had not known a lot of history about it. And it is a very extensive, interesting, unique destination. It is technically part of the Middle East. It is the only Christian nation in the Middle East. And so again, if we're talking a very far east island, it really has an interesting mix of culture. It was part of the Ottoman Empire, part of Turkey, and it's really kind of fought many, many battles there. So it has a lot of interesting battle heritage and interesting landmarks like that. Also, Richard the Lionhearted lived there for a while, and he married the queen from there, Queen Navarre, and she was the first and last queen of England to never, ever visit England, which I thought was very interesting. So it's a very unique destination. It has a lot of history as kind of like a vacation island for a lot of the wealthy, like Romans and Europeans. So there's 2 excursions I wanted to highlight. Firstly, our SALT, which stands for Sea and Land Taste, which is our really exciting culinary program that we have on board, and Joe will talk about that more. But it's really about bringing the shoreside experience to the onboard experience and creating that abundant access to the destination that you're visiting. So SALT, history of the wine of Cyprus. The wine of Cyprus is actually becoming world renowned. You're going to start seeing that at a lot of Italian restaurants and big food hubs. I've seen it a few places in San Francisco destinations. But Florentina, I don't want to try to butcher her last name. She will take you to this winery. You're going to do a winemaking class. You're going to learn about the grapes that are indigenous to the region that grow really well there. Do a whole class. And then you go back onto our vessel, and in the salt lab and in the salt restaurant, you're going to have these wines paired with different indigenous dishes, and you're going to do a whole cooking class with the chef. So that's the whole salt program. We have salt shore excursions that are rebranded, that don't just end when you return to the vessel, but are continued throughout the whole experience of your trip. And then also this interesting, there's multiple ports in Crete, as it's the largest island. And so Suda Bay is kind of a great metropolis, and we do 2 stops, but I wanted to talk about this one because there was another really great salt experience. Olive oil, the elixir of Mediterranean life. I mean, it's kind of the elixir of my life as well. But when you think of the Mediterranean, of course, you think of the cuisine. And salt is really going to highlight that. You're going to go and learn about the olive press, learn about making the making olive oil. You're going to this monastery that's from 2000 BC, and going to go through this whole salt experience. And then you're going to go do a whole cooking class with all the olive oil that you made yourself on the shore side, on the beautiful moon in our salt lab. So that's very exciting. Also, we have the treasures of Cretian culture. There's a huge artisan culture there for crafts and crafting. So you're going to go make your own soap. You pick your flavors, you pick your herbs and everything that's grown locally at the ranch, and you're going to do a whole soap making class. So you can obviously get a wonderful souvenirs. But again, this is the Silversea way. It's off the beaten path. It's unique. It's creative. It's the storytelling, and it's really about food, beverage, all the unique cultural things that we want you to see when you're in this iconic destination. And then lastly, Santorini. Everybody's heard of Santorini. Those iconic blue tips on the beautiful white facade of when you pull up to the port. So of course we all know about Santorini, but these 2 excursions were very exciting. The Oia winery. The Oia is an old monastery. It's built into a rock cliff, and so you're going to meander up past the caldera and go to visit this ancient monastery that also runs the oldest winery on Santorini, and is the highest peak of all of the islands. So you're going to have incredible views. You're going to do wine tasting. You're going to see this functioning monastery and really have a lovely excursion. And then I'm probably the most excited about the Akritiri Excavations. That's the name of the village. So previously, kind of like Pompeii, there was a huge volcanic eruption on Santorini, and the entire island was engulfed by water. It kind of ruined the island. Eventually, it kind of resubmerged, and now there is all these archaeological sites that have been starting excavations since 1967. So this island, the original name of Santorini was Strongoli, which means round, and it is from 1600 BC. So, and this is the most exciting part, this village that you're going to go see the whole excavation and walk through all of the remains that they found that was kind of encapsulated in this volcanic eruption is thought to be Atlantis. So that is a very cool piece. Joe was talking about it's right close to a very iconic, beautiful beach. So that day is all about sand and beauty and history and kind of the mystique of Atlantis. So that I thought was very exciting.
Yep. Well, that was a beautiful excursion. Actually, one of the neater ones I had a pleasure of doing and visiting Santorini. For those of you that haven't been there, it's a really neat place. Getting up is interesting. You'll have a few different choices, so choose wisely. You dock at the foot of these cliffs, and you see all those beautiful blue domes that Megan talked about, and we see in the brochures. And again, if you're interested in combining them into one grand voyage of 20 nights or longer, you certainly can do so. There are additional savings that have been assigned to the combo voyages. We know you missed out on some really important time last year and parts of this year with your travels, and so we're here to help you make up for it. And if you're interested in sailing on 2 of them in a row, we have that opportunity, and there are additional savings that have been afforded there as well. So what's going to be included when we do get out there? We talked about that beautiful luxury lifestyle. Pre and post hotel night stays, if it requires, depending on where you're flying from. If we've got to get you in early, we will. The luggage handling is handled. I talked about the butler service, the gratuities, really all of what we do on a normal basis is included. And we're going to return to full service in that regard. Round trip economy class is something that we feature on all of our prices. There is a credit for those of you that choose to purchase your own air. We don't have reduced business class offers for this summer. Unfortunately, lift is very, very tight. We are featuring business class, reduced business class air for other destinations around the world. So for later in 22 and in 23, but no business class offered on this particular, not any promotional. And then of course we talked about the excursions being offered and included. So some of those beautiful excursions that Megan went through. So let's take a look at the ship, right? Because she still has that brand new ship smell. And she hasn't had any passengers. You'd be amongst the first ever to sail on the moon. And we like to say, we'll see you on the moon. Really innovative concept when we built her. We did away from the main dining room idea, and instead of giving you 8 different dining rooms to choose from, this has really changed the way that our passengers experience culinary, our culinary and our food on board the ships. You've got a wide array of different choices and different flavors to choose from here. On the moon, we will feature SALT, which stands for Sea and Land Taste. And in this venue, your menu will change daily. We've always promised you as an industry that your itinerary, your menu changes with to match your itinerary, and it's really hard to do when we don't have a dedicated galley to that concept. We've finally done that. We've built a dedicated space to the program, and we're really excited to unveil it. It doesn't mean that it's going to be oversalted, your meals. It stands for Sea and Land Taste. And the idea here is to create and provide you with venues that are open both to everyone on the ship, as you see in the Salt Kitchen. And again, this is where your menu is going to change daily. It's going to match the flavors of the ports of call where you're visiting. Same concept with the bar. The Salt Bar will have that same concept, but for beverages. And then the Salt Lab. The Salt Lab is an interactive program. Megan touched on it with some of those excursions. This is limited capacity, it does require sign up, but this is more than just a test kitchen. We want to take you ashore with local experts, local chefs and people that prepare these foods, so they can tell you about the history of an ingredient. They can tell you about its origin, why it's so important to a culture, and then you come back to the ship and you prepare them together. So more than just a test kitchen environment or learning a Silversea recipe. This is really about learning about the cultures that you're visiting. So let me play you a quick video so you could see Salt.
Food is a voyage that speaks to the soul of the traveler, right at the heart of every culture on Earth. It's the most memorable part of any journey. Silversea is proud to introduce our unique Sea and Land Taste program, SALT, a vibrant new way to experience local food, tradition, and spirits hands-on. Welcome to our interactive SALT Lab on board. You'll touch, smell, and try out local ingredients and flavors in tastings and sessions with chefs and experts from each destination. Enjoy Salt Kitchen. We bring you a dining experience where the traditions, recipes, and cultures of your destination are brought right to your table. Join us at Salt Bar for freshly mixed, locally inspired drinks made with the best local ingredients and spirits. This is Salt, a unique travel and food experience where we bring the flavors of your destination right to your table. Salt, Sea and Land Taste by Silversea.
So we're excited about that program. So let's take you a little bit through the ship. I talked about space. That's one thing you'll find when you board our ships. You're going to find the large amenity areas that you're used to on the larger ships, but you also get those intimate spaces that you would expect, like you see here at this Arts Cafe. This is just one of the private lounges and public lounges that we have. This is our spin on Starbucks. Great light fare here throughout. Coffee, specialty coffees. I hear we've got a great Bloody Mary bar in the afternoon here as well. And this is a really popular place for folks to gather and meet, maybe before an excursion, after an excursion, and on sea days to enjoy a book. So little spaces too. And then of course the big amenity places like the spa, like the big pool deck. We've got a theater that can sit the entire occupancy of the ship. We talked about the 8 different dining venues. And then when we talk about space for yourselves, your personal space, your suite space, it's 386 square feet, is as small as it gets on the Silver Moon. This is a veranda suite. You can see here, beautiful color scheme that we use throughout. Again, space being a very important part of what we do and promise. And so having this light color palette really opens up the room a little bit and gives you that greater sense of space. We have walk-in closets and marble pointed bathrooms in every one of our suites. And I hope that you would agree with me that this isn't too bad. If this is as bad as it gets on Silversea, then I'd love to go. And so the Moon is not the only return to service. We have just recently announced the return to service of Galapagos, and Diana and Jill have been so kind to allow me to showcase that for just a few minutes. We are returning back in June. The Silver Origin, our brand new Silver Origin, we just took delivery of her in June of last year. She's 100 passengers. So this beautiful luxury yacht built for 100 passengers, visiting these beautiful islands. And you get to see all of the animals and species that you came to the Galapagos to see. Everyone who goes to the Galapagos with us comes back fulfilled, and they were able to scratch off everything off of their wonder list in that destination. We're featuring 2 itineraries. Now it's a 9-night package. We really wanted to take this and make it as seamless and as easy to travel for you to this what is pretty remote area of the world. So we have included international flights. We fly you to Quito 2 nights early. The ship leaves on Saturday, so you'll arrive Quito on Thursday. You'll spend 2 nights at the JW Marriott in Quito. We will give you a city tour on Friday before flying you on Saturday on a charter flight to San Cristobal, which is in the Galapagos Islands, and where you're going to board the Silver Origin and sail for 7 nights before returning to Guayaquil, where we'll give you a post-cruise night, post-cruise day room. Now, this is an actual hotel room. It's not a lounge for you to store your bags. It's an actual hotel room with a shower and a TV and a bed for you to relax and rest before you board your flight home. Flights to the States from Ecuador leave in the evening, so it will be a red-eye flight. And then, of course, the highlight is the itineraries, right? The Galapagos itineraries, you really can't go wrong on whichever one you want to visit. I will say this for our ornithologists out there, our birders, if you're interested in seeing the main bird colonies and all the species, you will have an opportunity to see most of the species on either one of these itineraries you choose. But the second itinerary, this itinerary here, would be where I would recommend our bird enthusiasts to visit, where you have an opportunity to see all of the booby birds, the red frigate birds, the albatross, and the penguin. So really unique itinerary. The first itinerary I showed you, this is again, you're going to get to see the blue-footed boobies. You're going to get to see the albatross. You will see the land tortoise on both itineraries. You will swim with sea turtles on both. This itinerary is more marine intensive. We spend a lot more time on the zodiacs. We spend a lot more time snorkeling. And the islands that we spend time in is where we find the Galapagos penguin, the very rare Galapagos penguin. So on this itinerary, we like to think of it more of our marine enthusiasts and then our birders for this next itinerary here. But really, you can't go wrong. You will see marine iguanas, large tortoises, and birds, the most amazing birds in the world. So on either one of these itineraries. So now, what does it include? Everything. This is expedition cruising, and when you're visiting the Galapagos, we're visiting islands that don't have any inhabitants. The national park allows 100 passengers per day to visit any one island. So by default, we're the only human beings that are stepping foot on these islands on any one of the days we visit. It's really an extraordinary experience. It's as exclusive and remote as you can get. And still be somewhat close to civilization. And we include round trip air here, of course, and the excursions always included at any time of the year, whether now, post-COVID or prior, expedition is always included. So let's take a quick look at the ship. There she is. She's 100 passengers. You can see all the glass that we use. We want to bring the destination in as much as possible. What you see here is an actual picture of the space that is an artist rendering behind me in my virtual background here. We wanted to build this as a museum, dedicate this as a museum to our customers, an opportunity to learn throughout at every corner. And so these museum style cases that you see here have items on loan from the Royal Geographical Society in London, which we're members of, and other artifacts that explain Sir Darwin's explorations of the islands. We also, at the end of that corridor, is where you're going to meet your expedition guides every morning. And this is where they're going to interact with this big digital wall. It's like a giant iPad. I'm sure my marketing team hates it when I describe it that way, but it's a big interactive wall. And your guide's going to have an opportunity here to show you what it is you're going to explore on that day in the morning before you leave. But you are also going to have an opportunity to come here and explore and use this wall when it's not being used by the guides in the morning. So again, expedition being such an enriching opportunity and enriching experience. And we want to bring the destination in, because in the Galapagos is that one place in the world where we're never more than just a few hundred yards offshore. And you never know when you're going to see a migrating pod of whales or a reef shark just below you, because the water is so pristine and clear. And so windows and bringing in that destination, so important when we built the ship. You could see that here. Large floor to ceiling window. Now this veranda has an interesting feature. You may see this tile here. There's an option to close the partition, make that exterior space, outdoor space, leaving the carpeted area air conditioned, or you can open that partition, close the back wall, the back glass window, bring that partition up, and make it a larger sitting area for your in-suite space. People think that the Galapagos on the equator, it's hot all the time. The facts are it gets into the high 60s, low 70s in the evenings on the average. So it could get a little brisk out there. And interesting fact about the Silver Origin, she never docks. Ever. She is always at anchor, or she's positioned by her thrusters in the global the GPS system that we use to keep her in place. This is how we take our fuel. This is how we bring our food and our provisions on board. It's also how we accept you, our passengers. And you see the Zodiacs coming here. We get right up to this marina. You've got crew members there that are held there to help you off of the Zodiacs. And for those of you that are thinking that maybe expedition is a little too much or more than how you'd like to see the world, I will remind you this: we're a luxury cruise line. We have many different levels of activities and excursions for different activity levels that cater to all demographics. And I always say to my customers, if you could play a round of golf or survive Black Friday shopping at the mall all day, you can certainly do an expedition cruise. And truly, when you sail with us, you do as much or as little as you want. But getting there to see these beautiful places, that's really what's most important, whether it be the Galapagos or the last continent of Antarctica. So that is the Silver Origin. Now let's talk about what the environment's going to look like on board. What have we done to keep you safe and provide a safe environment? First off, Diana mentioned at the beginning of the call, we are going to require all passengers to be vaccinated. It is a requirement for the countries that we're visiting. Greece is requiring a fully vaccinated ship, so we will have to comply. Testing for all will be provided on board and before we board and as we return back to port. Masks are suggested right now in indoor spaces, but obviously once you get to your station or your restaurant or your tables and bars, we're going to allow you to remove that. You do not have to wear masks in the outdoor areas, of course. Verified shore excursions, we talked about that, and we will ask passengers to just keep safe distance. I mean, we know we have a vaccinated ship, but what we want to do is we want to prove that our protocols work. We want to prove that this environment works and that we can go out and continue to take you to see the world and return you home safely and quickly. And we think that these measures are going to allow us to do so. Some of the other things that we did on board was we increased the sanitation solutions we use, now hospital grade solutions. We doubled the schedule, cleaning schedules in some areas. Air filtration now have HVAC systems. We push 100% clean oxygen through the passenger corridors and cabins all the time, 100% of the time. You're never sharing an air duct with anyone else. And I think that's really important, and that was key. Medical facilities, we joke, we've got the most state-of-the-art hospital in the Galapagos on the Silver Origin. It's actually true. And our medical facilities on board have been upgraded throughout the entire fleet. We also have increased the required experience levels that we have for some of the medical staff that are on board the ship to make sure that we can respond and properly handle any situation at sea. And then, of course, what did we do for you with our policies to allow you to invest in your vacation safely without the concern that you're going to lose out on that investment? Well, we've got Cruise with Confidence, which allows you to cancel up to 30 days prior and get a full refund in a future cruise certificate. Or you can cancel to 60 days prior in 21 and receive a full refund. COVID-19 protections. If we have to deny you boarding for a COVID-related issue, we will return you home. We will obviously cancel you, issue a future cruise credit or a refund, whatever is necessary at the time. And then if you are denied boarding for a COVID-related incident or issue, or if we have to disembark you for it, we will make sure that the repatriation is planned for you. We include airfare, so we have a lot of control when we have you using our airfare. We will get you home safely, timely. We will pick up the costs to do so, and make sure that that you can travel with peace of mind, knowing that in the event that something were to happen, that we're going to be able to respond accordingly. And I can tell you this: this industry was caught off guard last March in a bad way. And I can promise you, we will never be caught off guard that way again. We've taken tremendous precautions. We have made tremendous investments. We have sought the advice of some of the world's leading professionals in the medical field to make sure that they come to us with strong recommendations on how we can provide memorable experiences, but safe ones for you to enjoy. So I'll end by inviting you to visit our Discover blog, because I talked a lot about destination. Megan talked a lot about destination, and it's really hard to explain. So I invite you, visit our Discover blog. It's the best way to learn what it's like to see the world through the Silversea ships, what makes us different. There's so much content here. It's not just articles about the places you'll visit or suggestions. We've got podcasts, we've got videos, we've got testimonials from our customers, and great insight from our expedition leaders. We're not trying to sell you a cruise here. We really just want to explain to you what the Silversea difference is, and there's no better way to do it than from our riders and our passengers and our expedition guides. So please visit discover.silversea.com, and let's find that next Wonderlist vacation for you to visit. And with that, Diana, I just wanted to say again, thank you so very much for this opportunity. And for the time to speak to your customers. Sorry, I know we went over a little bit over our scheduled time. I apologize for that, but I know we had a lot to talk about. So I want to open it up for some questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joe and Megan, for our trip to Greece, as well as our bonus. I mean, thank goodness we're traveling virtually, that we could do the Galapagos and Greece all in one experience.
I think we're all ready to travel again, right? So wherever we can head.
That's it. Yeah. Jill, do we have any questions?
I do have a couple of questions that had come in before the presentation that I'd like to share with you. And this is a little bit of a theme that's coming through. One of them does talk to shore excursions, because I think a lot of people have heard that you're sort of enclosed in this bubble with the cruise line, and you can't do anything else. But would you just speak for a moment to what you're seeing is evolving with how shore excursions will be handled? And I know it will vary by destination.
Yeah, absolutely. So our plan is to work with suppliers that we would work with anyway. And what we're doing is going back out there and working with suppliers that, as long as they meet the protocol, and including excursions that we would normally charge passengers for, right? And so the level of the quality of the excursions, the places you're going to visit, are going to be very much what we would have offered anyway. We're just keeping them to people that we know have gone through, quite frankly, the same commitments and work that you, our passengers, went through, right? We all went through a lot of trouble to get to a safe environment, and we want to make sure that our suppliers, when you visit there, are keeping true to that and preserving that same environment. So that's why it's so important. Now, again, as we learn more and more about the vaccinations, its effectiveness, and the World Health Organization start to lighten their policies, we will shift along with it, whether that be what's required with mask wearing or touring. We will make sure that we change our policies accordingly, as long as we agree that it will allow us to maintain this safe environment.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I just want to step out my front door, and I can't decide if I want to go to Atlantide, Indochine, go up to the Arts Cafe, all of those things I remember from the Silver Muse. I'm ready.
Right.
But instead,
right,
Diana, I know we've got some wonderful giveaways that we'd like to get to. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Joe, if you could stop your screen share.
I certainly will.
Okay.
So now we'll get to the good stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
And now I am going to share, first of all, oops, didn't want that. Start with this one. There we go. Okay, the first thing we're going to be doing a drawing for is a salt sampler. It is a collection of 7 salts. Because of the name of your program, Sea and Land Taste, this came to mind as a fun way to promote it.
Thank you. Yeah.
And absolutely. And I collect salts personally whenever I travel. So this really caught my eye. Salts from around the world. Each little packet is 6 teaspoons of these different salts that you see listed here. So our first person to win a salt sampler is Jeannie Radke. Congratulations, Jeannie. And I know you'll enjoy cooking with these. So I'll get those mailed out to you. And then I have one more salt sampler I am going to do, and that will be to Brenda Osborne. So Brenda,
right.
You've got a salt sampler coming to you. And now the next thing is our Taste of Greece gift box. And in this gift box, there are 3 different Greek cheeses, a medley of Greek olives, Greek salami, dolmas, Kalamata olive spread, and a Greek mountain tea, all assembled in a handmade pine wood box. And we will be working with you to get this shipped out to you as safely and quickly as possible. So that goes to Stephanie Jenkins.
All right.
So congratulations, Stephanie, and I'll work with you in getting this gift box out to you. So congratulations to our winners, and thank you, Megan and Joe, again for your time, and we appreciate all the years of support that Silversea has provided to our agency and all of our clients who have sailed with Silversea and now will sail with Silversea. And thank you to everyone for joining us today, and have a great evening. Take care, everyone.
Have a wonderful holiday
Thank you
weekend,
for
everyone. Thank you
coming.
for joining us.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone.
Travels.
Bye-bye.